Psalm 100 from the Paleo Hebrew Scriptures. Make a loud noise. Shout for joy unto YASHA'UA, the ever-living. Go to him before his face with a ringing cry of joy. Know him intimately and completely, for he, YASHA'UA, the ever-living, is El-Hayam. He has fashioned us, working by labor to produce us, and not we ourselves. We are his people and the small cattle of his pasturing. Go to him, and to his gate with confession, thanksgiving, praise, into his enclosure with hymns of celebration. Cast forth praise unto him, kneel and place a gift before him. Prosper his name. For YASHA'UA is beautiful, kind, upright, fair and agreeable. His hasad, desire and mercy, zeal and kindness, endure unto time of long duration. For as far as the eye can see or perceive, to the edge of the horizon and beyond, and his faithfulness circles from age to age perpetually.
YASHA'UA is the greatest teacher of the Torah in the history of Torah teachers. Prove me wrong. My name is noelhadley. I'm not AI, and happy to be here with you tonight. It is a scorcher here in England. Hopefully you guys are doing better. It's a stifling heat. I've got some ice water here. About several minutes ago, I just stuck my head in the freezer because that's the only air conditioner, any kind of cooling unit that we have in this place. No fans, nothing. So I'm going to try to survive the night. And YASHA'UA. Now, many people know him as Yeshua, or for you Greek fanboys out there, Jesus Christos. So, of course, for you KJV only crowd, Jesus Christ. YASHA'UA Messiah. He is a true teacher of the Torah. And we are going through right now the Paleo Matthew. And of course, Matthew, really, when it comes down to it, I'm just like awed going through this study this last week and just seeing how he is literally just commenting on the Torah. I mean, I already knew that, but this is the first time I've ever done a Matthew study. And I have to say that the section we're in right now, chapters 5 through whatever we get through tonight, maybe 8, not really sure, are some of the most beautiful chapters in the whole of the Bible. So I hope you guys enjoy tonight. And it's, I'm going to do minimal extra biblical commentary tonight. I really want to focus on the words of our Messiah. Before I, of course, delve into this, Shabbat Shalom, everybody. Happy Prep Day. And, or we know whenever you keep Sabbath. It's obviously not Sabbath for me. You could you could see right outside here. It's still broad daylight, even though it's like after 9 o'clock Eastern time. So, my Sabbath doesn't technically begin until sunrise, but I figure somewhere on this flat, motionless plane, it is Sabbath for somebody. So Shabbat Shalom, everybody. And what are we looking at right here? Paleo Hebrew Joshua. And I just previewed this today. This is the first 6 chapters of Pamela's next project she's working on. She, of course, did the Torah. She went through Genesis through Deuteronomy. She's almost completely done with Psalms at this point. We have Psalms books 1 through 4. We're just finishing up 5. I say we, she's obviously, I'm not doing it. She's doing it, but I'm just publishing it. So I guess it's a joint venture. And we put this up today. So for you Patreon subscribers, I really am so very grateful for everybody who is supporting and investing in what we're doing here, keeping us afloat. So this is for you guys. This is a preview. I've been putting on a lot of previews for you guys, a lot of exclusive content. And you guys, I think we're probably going to give you guys a preview of every chapter of Joshua before it's physically published to the public. So come on over. And of course, today I just sent out all the coupons and gift certificates. So if you guys don't know this, here at Talk, anyone who subscribes to Patreon, whatever you guys give us, $5 up to $150, we give that same amount back in gift certificates, coupons that you can use in our store for Don's products. It helps support the vendors, like Don being one of them, or Polly. And Polly just introduced 2 new types of spices that he sent out. So we'll be shipping those out. And as well as Pamela and Rebecca and others. And, if let's say you get a book and you're like, well, I already have this book. Well, maybe you really liked it. Maybe you want other people to read it. Get it again, the next week. Support the ministry, get it again, ship it to somebody else, put up one of those free libraries in your front yard, put Tuck books in there, all the extra biblical books, the Paleo, all that good stuff. All right. One more thing. Tuck 2. I think I talked about this last week. Just launched this a little over a week ago. And, I said a few minutes ago that I'm not AI, but that's kind of suspect, isn't it? I mean, only somebody who really is AI would probably try to claim that they're not AI. Of course, some of you know me and you've seen me in person. Nevertheless, all the videos I've been putting up here so far are AI. They are I've been trying to think of ways that I could, people tell me all the time, they write me, they're like, no, you do these like 2-hour videos. There's no way that I can sit down and watch all this stuff. And I get it. Like you get up in the morning, you make your family breakfast, and then you head out in the car and you go to a 9-to-5 job, and you get home and dinner, and then there's chores and homework and kids and that kind of stuff. You don't have time for this stuff. So, these are just summing up my catalog of papers I have, research papers. And you can see the first 6 of them right there. These are like, 50, 70 pages of research each, or whatever, what have you. And it's summing it up in sometimes 16, 18, 20, 25 minutes. So again, AI is not for everybody. And if it's not for you, that's okay. AI is, I think, a incredible tool. It could be used for good or evil. It could be used for a blessing or a curse. And in this case, I think it's a blessing. I think there's been so much propaganda out there, and some truth. I mean, there's obviously genuine concern for AI out there. So anyways, come check it out. See if you like it. Tuck 2, and subscribe to this channel. I need to get 1,000. In a couple weeks, I got 134 subscribers. If I can get up to 1,000, I can start doing lives here, which is the intent. I'm kind of putting this up there just to, get original content. And the next time I go into YouTube jail, because it does happen from time to time, and I can't tell you guys, I can't go out on YouTube, say, hey guys, I'm in jail. Sorry, I can't do any, Friday nights or whatever. I could just jump over there and you're like, hey, look, he's doing a Friday night over there. All right. Matthew chapter 5 through 7-ish. Like I said, we might touch on 8 tonight. We'll see how far we get. Let's start with the Lord's Prayer. I'll start with the standard, and then I'll read the Paleo. And it's kind of interesting because tonight we will be reading from the Paleo, Adonai's prayer. Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory forever and ever. Amen. And then over here on the Paleo, this is Pamela's personal translation. Our Father, set apart is your name, and your royal dominion, your pleasure, your delight, you will exist in Shamayam and in Eretz, and give us our bread continually, and pardon our faults, our sins and missteps, in the same manner in which we forgive those who commit faults, sins, missteps against us. And all for Allahayam, do not bring us into the hands of testing, but guard us from all evil. Amen. Last week I was talking about the passage about it's better to chop off your right hand or, gouge your eye out than to enter with your whole body into the fires of Gehenna. It's better to enter paradise, mangled and missing limbs and so on and so forth. And probably 30 minutes ago, for whatever reason, maybe Matthew was my friend Matthew, maybe he was catching up on last week. I don't really know. He decided to send me a message talking about this. Now, for those of you, if you don't know Matthew, if you've seen any of the QAnon kind of conspiratorial talks I put on, I like to put on a kind of a round table board. He's usually on there with John Q. And this is what he said. I thought it was a phenomenal statement. It was so good. I don't usually do this, but I was like, you know what? I told him right afterwards. You can see I put a heart there, but I was like, hey, I'm reading this live. And he said, I find it fascinating that Yahusha says, if your right hand causes you to sin, not your left hand, left being folly, right being righteousness. Now, keep in mind, remember that YASHA'UA is the right hand, because Satan didn't fall from being wicked, but rather because he had too much righteousness. Worship coming from his body as he moved, and so beautiful to look at. And he's getting this from the Ezekiel passage about being throned in the was it the Mount of Congregation with covered with the jewels. You see, Yahushua was warning about the pride of the Pharisees. I am sure that there are things that we do that make us feel better than others. And those are the things that Yahushua may be telling us to let go of. Do not be over righteous. Why destroy yourself? Now, now that I think about this, maybe he's like doing this as an intervention. Noel, you need to, this was difficult. And I've been wanting to tell you this for some time. But it says, do not be over wicked. Why die before your time? So that's speaking of the left hand now, right? Do not be over wicked, the left hand. Why die before your time? But the man who fears the Lord will avoid both extremes, or in other translations, come forth from them both equally well. Fascinating to think over righteousness can lead to our downfall. And he's absolutely correct in that. Over righteousness is so close to self-righteousness that it is scary. And the closer we get to him, the more severe we may be judged. We'll be talking about that tonight. Perhaps I am taking it too far, but it is quite a concept. Of course, I am not referring to the righteousness of the Torah. He clarifies in the next statement. That's the easy peasy stuff and the light burden he has us carry. I am talking about the rest of the burdens we place upon ourselves. And yeah, I mean, obviously, pride is under the guise of righteousness, right? It's this overzealousness that is, it's a false zealousness that's, it is a terrible blinder, and it causes many to downfall. So that was an amazing statement. So if it just to kind of rephrase that point there, what he was saying is that it's interesting that he wasn't addressing the wicked people in that when he didn't say better to cut off your left hand, right? He's speaking specifically to that very self-righteous, not righteous crowd, but self-righteous crowd who are under the kind of wearing a mask of the Torah, but as you know, they're Talmudic and they're leading people into hell themselves. Fascinating stuff. All right, let's just go right into it tonight. And like I said, these are some of my favorite chapters in all the Bible. I'll say it again. YASHA'UA is the greatest teacher of the Torah. There's nobody greater. I mean, this may sound cliche, but he blows my mind. I mean, just reading this stuff and going, wow, this is my Melchizedek, my high priest and king that is instructing us to this day with his words of wisdom of Hakamaha. He was filled with wisdom. This is what he says. You can see here that Pamela doesn't go by typical chapters that you're going to see in other Bibles. She is actually going by breaks in the text, and this is break 19 right here. Again, you have heard what was spoken unto the ancients. Do not swear falsehood in my name, and return unto Yahuwah your oath. But I firmly say unto you not to swear concerning any matter unto vanity. Do not swear by Shamayam, because it is the royal throne of Alakuyam. And do not swear by Aratz. So Shamayam would be heaven, Aratz the earth. It is the footstool for his feet. That's quoting from Isaiah right there. Not by Shamayam, because it is the city of Alakuyam. Now, I put there unto vanity because look over here at the King James, the KJV on the left. It says, but I say to you, swear not at all, right? Swear not at all. Do not swear. Now, I was kind of wondering, I didn't ask Pamela about this, why she put this, because you could read this. He could be saying, but I firmly say unto you not to swear concerning any matter at all, or contrarily, concerning any matter that is, vain, right? Unto vanity. I'll let you guys decide on that. Someone is rapid firing me on Facebook over here. I don't even go on Facebook. People tag me in like 100 posts a day. Just like ding, 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 Facebook. And I don't even go over there, guys. Just so you know, I don't go to Facebook. So ding me in my Discord group. I'll go right over there and look at your question and answer as quickly as I can. And do not swear by your head. You're not able to make one hair white or perhaps black. Indeed, let your words exist. Yes, yes, or in addition, no, no. All which is in excess over this, it is evil. And moreover, you have heard what was said in the Torah, eye in exchange for eye, tooth in the place of tooth. But I firmly declare unto you, do not recompense evil instead of evil. But whoever will smite upon your right cheek, prepare for him the left. Whoever will desire to be in opposition with you in judgment and wishes to rob your shirt, abandon toward him your coat. And whoever demands you to walk with him 1,000 steps, walk with him 2,000. Whoever asks from you, give it to him. And the one who wants to borrow from you, do not prevent them. So there's a number of ways Matthew has been taken over the years. And thank Yah that more and more people within the church, just the mainstream church, are waking up to the fact that YASHA'UA was a Jewish rabbi. He was a Hebrew. And in Matthew itself is clearly, as I said, commentary on the Torah. Nowhere in Matthew, this is a very, as they would say, a very Jewish text. Nowhere in Matthew does he do away with the Torah. People try, but they will lose when they try to do that. They will not succeed because the Torah abides. And so what he's doing here is he's not instituting a new law by any means. When people read this and they maybe it's because they haven't really studied the Torah, maybe they haven't really read it for themselves. Clearly, now there's even within that construct, that frame of reference, there are different ideas people are going to have. And obviously I cannot represent them all. Some people get really mad at me when I don't represent their personal view in their living room of their house. One of them seems to be that what he's doing is saying he's preparing people for the diaspora to come, the dispersion, and saying you can't keep the Torah. You're not going to be able to, the Torah will not be the law of the land. When I say you can't keep the Torah, it's not going to be the government of the land. Therefore, there are capital punishment and things like this. There's some things you cannot do. You can't just go to the elders of Israel and they're not going to be able to circumnavigate the government in many of these cases, right? That's one theory out there. It could be true. It's not really how I see it. Because I believe, and this is a side point, what I'm about to say, but because I believe that YASHA'UA is Yahuwah, that he is the God of the Old Testament, not in a modalist sense, but that Yahuwah was always the Son of God. He was always the Son of Allahayam, that the very God, the Allahayam, who entered into a covenant with Abraham, brought the 10 Commandments, or wrote on the 10 Commandments when Moshe was up on the mountain, that this is he would later become YASHA'UA incarnate. He would follow through with the covenant that he initiated. He would fulfill his end of it. He wouldn't send his son to do it. You see what I'm saying? He wouldn't send his son to fulfill something he did. He did it himself. And so what he's doing here is he's actually teaching. This is what makes him so brilliant. This is why I'll continue to say throughout this series that he is the greatest teacher of the Torah in the history of the world. Nobody, I will not come close, guys. Sorry if I'm going to disappoint you. Yeah, it's going to happen. Everybody, right? Nobody's going to come close to this. And he's teaching you what the original intent was. You know, the what it looks like to have a circumcised heart. This is what it is like to conform to the image of Yahuwah. So we're going to see more of that tonight. I was going to see if there was anything specifically I wanted to comment on here. I mean, specifically here, the idea of yes be yes and no be no, right? This really plays into Isaiah and from the very beginning, why he was so sick of their feast and their sacrifices and all these things. He's like, this is making me nauseous, right? I just want to puke this out. Because he was sick and tired, he was sick and tired of the ceremony and nobody really desiring to do it. Just the religion aspect of it, right? I'm going to show you though, I'm going to show you an example of how serious vows are, that we are to take these very seriously. Now, I've said this a couple of times recently. I've spoken to, a lot of Marines and military, Army, former Marines, Army, as you guys have. Not so much Navy and Air Force, seems like. It seems like I know a lot of Marines, as you guys do too. And you know that when you join the armed forces, you take a vow, you take an oath, and it's actually a life vow, a life oath, and your oath is to defend the Constitution. This is a vow that I myself took to defend the Constitution. So if I were to start picking up Marxist literature and start spreading that around in a way that, in an assault, or trying to bring an end to the Constitution, what it represents, I would be breaking my oath. I have vowed to the end of my days to defend it with my very life if given. And I think, I've only been under 2 vows or oaths really within my lifetime. The other one was my marriage to my wife, which I promised to honor and cherish her to till death do we part. I've spoken on this a few times before that we actually, when we were married, I think it was 20 years, we decided to try to rescind our marriage, not divorce, but rescind it, meaning that we wanted to divorce the government. And we filled out some paperwork that we said we wanted out of the contract with the government. We don't want them to be the third party member that we didn't know what we were getting into. You can rescind from a contract. Nevertheless, the vow, I didn't give that vow to the government. I gave that vow to my wife. And these are things we need to uphold. So these are very important, guys. And I want you to think about that. I want you to think about all the covenant of salt, the salt covenants you may have made with people, just in the act of breaking bread with people. Like, we don't even think about this stuff, but this is really serious. So here's a story in Judges chapter 11. And in the English, he would be Jephthah. I'm looking forward, Pamela, to when you finally get around to Judges. Of course, she's working on Joshua right now. Maybe she'll do Judges next. I don't know. This is what it says. Jephthah vowed a vow unto Yahuwah. Sounds pretty serious. I'm skipping, if I were to go through verse 1 through 29, it's a long story about this individual, how he becomes a judge of Israel. He is a judge of Israel. He was first kicked out of his community. They chased him off, and then they needed him. They came and said, "Hey, will you come fight for us?" He's like, "Hey, I thought you kicked me out of here." He's like, "Well, we've changed our opinion now." He's like, "All right, well, if I'm going to come lead you guys to be your judge in battle, I better be top dog when this is over. If I win the war for you, if I win the fight, you better uphold your end of the deal." And they're like, "Okay." So now he's under pressure because he wants to win this war. So this is what he does. He vows a vow unto YASHA'UA, pretty serious, and he said, if thou shalt without fail deliver the children of Ammon into mine hands, then it shall be that whatsoever cometh forth of the doors of my house to meet me, whether it is a cockroach, a dog, a bird, he didn't specify here. Remember that, guys. Be specific, even in your prayers. I've stated this so many times that, like, be careful what you pray for. Be careful what you pray for. He will give us many times. Sometimes, for our own good, he won't give us what we want, but sometimes he will give us what we want. When I return in peace from the children of Ammon, shall surely be YASHA'UA's, and I will offer it up, burnt offering. So Japheth passed over unto the children of Ammon to fight against them, and YASHA'UA delivered them into his hands. And he smote them from Eror, even till they came to Minnith. He smites and smites. And this is what happens. And Japheth came to Mizpah into his house, and behold, his daughter came out to meet him with timbrels and with dances. Ouch. Not only ouch, she was his only child. Ouch. Beside her, he had neither son nor daughter. Wow. I mean, I have two sons, but I have a daughter too. And that's just like the worst imaginable thought in the world. He sees her, she's coming out rejoicing with timbrels, right? To greet her dad. And it came to pass when he saw her that he rent his clothes and said, alas, my daughter, thou hast brought me very low, and thou art one of them that trouble me, for I have opened my mouth unto YASHA'UA, and I cannot go back. And she said unto me, my father, if thou hast opened thy mouth unto YASHA'UA, do to me according to that which hath proceeded out of thy mouth. For as much as YASHA'UA hath taken vengeance for thee of thine enemies, even the children of Ammon. And she said unto her father, let this thing be done for me. Let me be alone for 2 months, that I may go up and down upon the mountains and bewail my virginity, I and my fellows. And he said, go. And he sent her away for 2 months. And she went with her companions and bewailed her virginity upon the mountains. And it came to pass at the end of 2 months that she returned to her father, who did with her according to his vow, which he had vowed. And she knew no man. And it was a custom in Israel that the daughters of Israel, or the daughters of Yasharel, went yearly to lament the daughter of Japheth the Gileadite 4 days in a year. Now, just on a side note here, this really kind of caught my attention this week when I was studying this, because this is one of the big issues that come up in Millennial Kingdom research. This idea, obviously, I don't even explain it. I don't need to explain it to you guys, but you're looking at all the different feast days, and every single day of the year is a different feast day for either. It's usually. It could be, some of the patriarchs like Abraham or Yitzchak, but it's usually like the apostles, and then a lot of the what I believe the Millennial Kingdom saints. Maybe the 144,000, a lot of the women, the men, things like that. And every single day is a different feast day, and these are treated by the Torah community as pagan. And I personally failed to see how they're pagan. But it is interesting right here that you have in the Bible. I don't know. I mean, maybe when Pamela comes out with her translation, she will find embedded in the language some way that this is pagan. But it just seems to be stating as a matter of fact that this girl who was killed as a burnt offering, I mean, terrible. And, he had to follow through with his end of the bargain. That they went and wept for her for, we don't know how many years, but once a year for 4 days in memory of her. And that is not instituted. It's not one of the Feast of Yah. It's something they did as a culture, as a society. So that's something, I want you guys to think about and get back to me on that. Write a comment below. Write a comment as to why that was sinful, that these girls were doing that this is somehow breaking the Torah. Because I would be curious to know. I don't personally see it, but I'd like to know. We also see this in Enoch 6 with the watchers. So we know that people are making oaths all around. You got the judges of Israel, but you got the watchers, the fallen watchers, the angels. Famous passage. This is Enoch 6 to match Genesis 6. And it came to pass when the children of men had multiplied that in those days were born unto them beautiful and comely daughters. And the angels, the children of heaven, saw and lusted after them and said to one another, come, let us choose us wives from among the children of men and beget us children. And Shemiyazu, who was their leader, said unto them, I fear you will not indeed agree to do this deed, and I alone shall have to pay the penalty of a great sin. And they all answered him and said, let us all swear an oath and all bind ourselves by mutual imprecations, not to abandon this plan, but to do these things. Then swear they all together and bound themselves by mutual imprecations upon it. Now, just a little side note here that I do have a kind of a thesis on angels, both righteous and I guess you could say wicked, that they do have a code that they live by, just some sort of angelic code. Maybe they break it, right? Maybe the wicked ones break it, but that there's something that they're like embedded to this law that they have to follow through with it. This is something I almost think that is unique to humans, that we can just manipulate and just break oaths, and I don't care. And I'm just, I know I said that yesterday, but I'm not going to follow through with it. Seems to be a very human thing. If it is, again, if it is an angelic thing, I'd like to see that. But it seems to be that even the watchers are making oaths that, as far as my understanding goes, these same watchers are still keeping this oath. They are still bound together to this day. When I say bound, I don't mean in prison, because I think they've been released. They're still bound together to this oath that they made in Enoch chapter 6. Continuing with, so basically here, guys, it's one of those things that, like, as we conform to the image of YASHA'UA, right, as the Torah is a transformative document in our lives, it's going to become second nature to us. It's one of those things that, you don't even think about it. You just, you're a character, a quality of character where you say you're going to do something and you just do it. You just do it. You follow through because you said it, you're going to do it. And you also, like, if you are unsure you're going to do something, you don't say you're going to do it. You're just like, you know what? I don't know. I need to think about it. No today, but I'll reevaluate. I'll evaluate it for the rest of the day and maybe give you a different answer tomorrow. But today it's a sure no. Break 20. Again, YASHA'UA said unto his students, you have heard what was said unto the ancients, that you will love your lovers and you will hate your haters. But I firmly declare unto you, love your enemies and fashion goodness towards your haters and the ones who exasperate you. And you will pray for the sake of your pursuers and the ones who oppress you, for the purpose and intent that you will exist as sons of your Father who is in Shamayim, who shines his shamash upon good ones and evil ones. You guys get that right there? Right? He just said, like, our Father in heaven isn't just the Father of Israel. Now, Hakamaha is, wisdom is, she is the mother. I mean, that is, you could say YASHA'UA is her inheritance, and we have scripture on that. But he is the Father of all souls, right? They all came through him at the beginning of time. And every single nation on this earth, there are wicked people everywhere. They get the rain, right? They go through all the seasons. They get it all. And so he gives good things to everybody. And as we conform to his character, we will want the same thing, right? Who causes the rain to fall upon wicked criminals and the righteous and the righteousness. Conditionally, if you love your lovers, what benefit is that to you? Do not the persons of impudent faces love their lovers? And of course, I could take you back to the watchers. They loved their children, right? The Nephilim. They were lovers too. I assume Satan loves somebody out there, they say that, even Hitler had dogs. He had that going for him. You will exist perfect, whole, complete, just as your Father is perfect, whole, complete. That's a tall order right there. Guard yourselves, lest you fashion your righteousness before the face of the Adam, that you might praise you, or conditionally, if you do so, there will not exist to you wages from your Father who is in Shamayam. Break 21. Yashua's teaching regarding acts of righteousness. Again, Yashua spoke to them, just as you fashion righteousness, do not desire to make a proclamation or sound trumpets before your face, like the flatterers in a foreign barbarous language, hypocrites, who fashion their righteousness in the streets and in the marketplaces, in order that the sons of Adam might see them. Aman, I firmly declare unto you, they have already received their reward. You, when you fashion righteousness, when you follow the correct path, do not let your left hand know what your right hand is fashioning. There's that left and right hand again. Let your gift exist in secret, and your Father who observes hidden mysteries, he will make recompense for you. So we all know what the Pharisees were doing. And, they would wear their tassels were longer than everybody else's tassels. And the old, captains getting out there and measuring who had the bigger telescope. And they had these big, long robes, and they would get out there, they had the longer beards, right? And nice big curls. And they would go out there and raise their hands and pray. And everybody would see it and go, man, this guy is a righteous guy. This guy has it all together, right? And I was trying to think of like a way where this could materialize in the modern world. And I think I have an example. This is a personal example. And we're right now on YouTube land, right? So we're going to talk about social media tonight, because I think everybody who listens to me is active on social media. Maybe you're out there arguing on Facebook all day, or maybe not. I don't know. Maybe you're on X or True Social, whatever it is. And I've noticed something over the years. Generally, when people want to praise my work, yes, I just said that. But I put a lot of work into my research, and I noticed that generally when people want to say nice things and compliment my work, they do so privately. I always find this kind of an interesting character quality of people. They come to me privately, and they're like, yeah, no, like you keep up the good work. We see the comments out there, the negative comments, just keep it up. You're doing such a great job. You've really blessed us. And I'm telling you right now, guys, even before I came on tonight, I was feeling just so discouraged. It happens a lot on Friday nights. I think it's Friday afternoon, spiritual attacks, that kind of stuff. I get the most nasty comments Fridays going into Sabbath. It's just like the demons come out of the woodwork, and they know, right? Doesn't happen on Thursdays. Doesn't happen on Sunday through Thursday. It happens Friday and Sabbath. But contrarily, the negative comments are public. Like the people who are out there like saying, I was just like going through today, delete. I'll do it. If people are just like straight up rude and contemptuous, I'll just block from my channel, block. I'll go through like 5 to 10 a day, block. You have to wonder why I'm not getting many followers, right? And I've long learned that the individuals who are doing that, they're doing it so that they can be seen. They want to be validated. You see my point? They're not doing it for me. They're doing it for their validation. Whereas the people who are coming to me privately, people who want to say mean things about me, they don't do it privately. I don't get comments they do not take the time to write me a private letter, because then nobody's going to see it except for me. And it's not for me, right? It's for them. And that's really an interesting kind of human experience type of observation. So the idea of receiving our own rewards, just remember that. I think I said this last week. We get so frustrated because we look around and we see the wicked or the those who are just not. They don't have to be wicked. Maybe they're not interested in spiritual truth. Maybe they're not interested in the way, right? The path. They're just living their lives. Maybe they're just generic Christians or whatever. Maybe they're mocking you for your pursuit and they're super successful. And you're just like, why, Lord? Why are these people so rich? And why are they so well off and doing, so well in life? And then here I am struggling. And I think I'm standing up for the truth. I believe I am. I'm certainly searching for it. Why am I given the bad lot here? And I believe it's because, as he just said here, there are people that are already receiving their rewards. Think about it, the people that are out there, praying publicly. They're doing it in a way that they know how to work with the culture of their day. People do it today, but they do it in a slightly different way. They know in ways that are going to garnish the likability. All right. Call it charisma, if you will. And they receive the reward. All the people out there that are struggling and like, Lord, when are you going to recognize me? When are you going to lift me up? We're going to get people like that. I threw myself in there. I shouldn't have done that. But those individuals, those meek and humble individuals, it's because he's withholding the reward from you to give it to an eternity. He's giving you something that's going to be be passed through the fire and it's going to come out the other end. Everybody else, they're using the rewards. I just lost my, hold on. It is so hot in here. Give me a second. All right. Break 22. YASHA'UA teaches on prayer. At that time, YASHA'UA spoke to his students. In the hour when you pray to him, do not raise your voice and do not exist like the sorrowful flatterers, the ones who love to pray in the houses and the synagogues and in the corners of the courtyards, and the ones who make supplications in the high places that they might be heard and that they will be praised by the sons of Adam. Amen. I firmly declare to you, they have already received their reward or their recompense. But you, when you make supplications, go into your bedroom and close the doors for yourself and pray to your Father in secret. Of course, I think any mother out there who's with her children all day knows about going to the bedroom and shutting the door once in a while. Maybe actually they call it a prayer closet for a reason, because that's the only way to get that kind of privacy. And your Father who observes in secret, he will make recompense for you. And when you make supplication, do not multiply words like the types as the ones who think that by the abundance of words he will be heard. But do you not see your Father who is in Shamayam? He will know your words before you ask for him. I'm going to read to you again the Lord's Prayer, but I want you to think about that, right? If you haven't, I'm sure, a lot of you have, but when you're going to come to pray for him and be like, you know what, YASHA'UA, like you, or even depending on, maybe you're praying to your Father in heaven, my Father in heaven, God, Allah Hayam, like, my heart, but I can't fool you. I can't trick you. There's nothing I could say. Like the things that I could be saying, I could be deceiving myself. I don't even know the depths of my own, my own depravity or my own subconsciousness, my psychological and emotional baggage, my daddy, my mommy issues. You get my point? Like, yeah, all these things. And then you break into it. And in this manner, you will pray to him. Our Father, set apart is your name, and your royal dominion, your pleasure, your delight, you will exist in Shamayam and in Aratz. And give us our bread continually, and pardon our faults, our sins and missteps, in the same manner in which we forgive those who commit faults, sins, missteps against us. And do not bring us into the hands of testing, but guard us from all evil. Amen. You guys ever been in a situation where somebody has come to you and they're just like, they ask for forgiveness, and you're seriously, you're sitting there going like I don't even know what you're talking about, and they, there was something that they did maybe in their thoughts or whatever, that they're coming, that they have a it's so hot, guys. I'm stumbling. They have, I don't know, something is just burning in their conscious. That's what Yah wants us to do, right? Like to humble ourselves and to pray, like pray to him. I mean, we're coming up on the fall feast, right? We're coming up on the Day of Atonement. That is an activity I would ask all of you to do, to go into wherever you go to pray, your prayer closet, your bedroom, whatever, your car, in the parking lot, at Taco Bell, wherever you go, and be like, if there is somebody that I have offended, that I have sinned against, that I have anger in my heart towards, put that person on my mind so that I can go to that person and humble myself before him. And maybe it's an issue of asking forgiveness, or maybe it's something else, maybe clearing the air. Man, that is an act of worship, and that's what Yah wants from us. Conditionally, if you will extend pardon towards the sons of Adam, then your Father who is in the Shamayam will forgive your transgressions. But conditionally, if you will not grant forgiveness to them, he will not forgive you your transgressions. Now, this is the theme here that he's going to repeat over and over again in different ways. You've heard an eye for an eye, tooth for tooth. Love your lovers and hate your enemies, this kind of stuff. But it's like, remembering that how we judge other people, like that is how we're going to be judged. That is a terrifying thought, guys. And I don't mean that in fear porn way. I mean like in a serious fear of the Lord, of God, of YASHA'UA type of fear. Yeah. Well, we see the same thing, Adonai's prayer, the Lord's Prayer. Interestingly enough, in First Adam and Eve, or First Adam and YASHA'UA, chapter 23. I'll leave this up to you guys to decide on the validity of this text. Nevertheless, here's the context and here's the prayer. And I could believe it, guys. I do think, I don't, because YASHA'UA is teaching us about the Torah, the spirit of the law, right? Versus just the physicality of the law. I think that this pattern of prayer has to be old. I think it is a Melchizedek prayer. And I could totally believe in the legitimacy that it goes back a lot further than the book of Matthew. And again, this is what we read. Then Adam cried more and said, "O Elohim, have mercy on me, so far as to take on yourself that which I will do." But Elohim withdrew his word from Adam and YASHA'UA. Then Adam and YASHA'UA stood on their feet, and Adam said to YASHA'UA, "Strengthen yourself, and I also will strengthen myself." And she strengthened herself as Adam told her. Then Adam and YASHA'UA took stones and placed them in the shape of an altar. And they took leaves from the trees outside the garden, with which they wiped from the face of the rock the blood they had spilled. But that which had dropped on the sand they took together with the dust with which it was mingled, and offered it on the altar as an offering to Elohim. Then Adam and YASHA'UA stood under the altar and cried, thus praying to Elohim, Forgive us our trespass and our sin, and look at us with thine eye of mercy. For when we were in the garden, our praises and our hymns went up before you without ceasing. But when we came into the strange land, pure praise was no longer ours, nor righteous prayer, nor understanding hearts, nor sweet thoughts, nor just counsels, nor long discernment, nor upright feelings. Neither is our bright nature left us, but our body is changed from the likeness in which it was at first when we were created. Yet now look at our blood, which is offered on these stones and accepted at our hands, like the praise we used to sing to you at first when in the garden. And then here it is right here. I wanted to give you a little bit of context beforehand. I don't know if that cleared it up or just confused you further. And Adam began to make more requests of Elohim. And this is what he says: Our Father who art in heaven, be gracious unto us. O YASHA'UA or Elohim, hallowed be your name. And let the remembrance of thee be glorified, heaven above and upon earth here below. Let your kingdom reign over us now and forever. The holy men of old said, remit and forgive unto all men whatsoever they have done unto me. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from the evil thing. For thine is the kingdom, and thou shalt reign in glory forever and forevermore. Amen. And of course, it would make sense that Adam would pray this prayer, especially if we're connecting Paul's theology of the first Adam and the second, or alternatively known, the last Adam. Break 23, YASHA'UA teaches on fasting. Again, he said to them, do not exist like the sorrowful flatterers who reveal their bones and alter their faces to show their fasting to the sons of Adam. Amen, I firmly declare unto you, they have already received their recompense or their reward. But you in your fasting wash your hands, that you do not appear to be afflicted unto the sons of Adam, but unto your Father who is in secret. And your Father who is in secret, he will make recompense towards you. I guess that's really the test, isn't it? That really is the test. Unfortunately, I think we go through, many of us, not all of us. I won't speak for everyone. When I say we, I'm kind of throwing myself into the lot of humanity. We deceive ourselves into thinking we are serving Yah. And you know what's amazing, kind of like with the right hand of righteousness, the self-righteousness, I should say, a lot of people can be actively hiding from God. We always think of atheists hiding from God. You can be actively hiding from Elohim and be in the ministry and in service. And it's scary to think, this is something we all have to evaluate, whether you're in the ministry or not, but it's scary to think how many people are actually there to be served by other people, or to be praised by other people, rather than to be there for the praise of the Father and for the health of the community and the betterment of the sheep that you're shepherding. It's a scary thought. And he's going to repeat this throughout, right? That he knows in secret what our needs are. He will reward us. He will reward us at the end, but not today. Break 24, YASHA'UA teaches on accumulating treasure. So again, we're just building on the same theme. Again, he spoke to them, do not gather in order to pile up treasures on a rock so that decay and the worm consume them, or perhaps thieves dig through and they steal them. Fashion for yourselves treasures in Shamayim, in the place where worms and a worm do not consume them, and in the place where the thieves do not dig through and steal. In the same place where your treasure exists, there will exist your heart. A good way to evaluate where your heart is, what you think about when you wake up in the morning. A lot of us think about maybe, you're hungry, you want to eat breakfast, or maybe you have to use a bathroom and poop or something. You know what I mean? But what passes through your mind? What do you want to do with your day? And the lamp of your body is your eyes. Conditionally, if your eyes should gaze attentively, your body will not be darkened. But conditionally, if the light within you becomes dark, all your ways will exist, the ones of Chishak. Now, that word Chishak, Pamela put that in there because Chishak is it's a type of darkness that is also seems to be an entity. So I'm going to show you here, Bereshith, Genesis chapter 1, in which it says, this is also Pamela's translation, but observe Ha'aratz was unorganized and empty, and Chishak rose up from the deep waters, went up to its face, but the Ruach Elohim, as a wall of protection, moved violently upon the surface of the waters. And of course, we know there that this darkness isn't like, it's not like, the sun is moving behind the clouds, or, oh no, the sun is moving to the other side, around the globe. And so there's this dark area. And so the Holy Spirit has to run up to stop that darkness. You stop it, sun. You stop moving behind that cloud. Clearly, this is a dark entity that is coming out to challenge YASHA'UA. And you see YASHA'UA telling us here that you're either going to conform to one or the other, right? You can't help it. You're either going to conform to the image of YASHA'UA / YASHA'UA, or you're going to conform to the image of Azazel / Chishak. Can't help it. So one or the other. YASHA'UA admonishes students to serve Ha'al. At that time, YASHA'UA spoke to his students, no man will be able to serve two masters, or ada unuyam, for conditionally, the one he will hate and the one he will love, or perhaps the one he will honor and the one he will despise. And we can fool ourselves, but it's true, 100% true. You will not be able to serve Ha'al and the world. In this manner, I firmly declare unto you, do not worry about food for your soul, your nefeshath, and do not be concerned about clothing for your body. The nefesh is more precious than the food, and the body more than the attire. Observe the winged fowls of heaven, of Hashamayam. He does not sow, and he does not reap, and he does not gather up treasures. And your Father in heaven, Ha'al Ya'un, the most supreme Al, or most supreme Elohim, feeds them. Are you not more precious than these? Who among the warriors will be able to add upon his height one amaha? But for what purpose do you worry about clothing? Observe the lilies of Sharaun, or in a foreign barbarous language, Gileon. But I firmly declare unto you that the Malach Shalama in all his splendor did not exist dressed like him. But conditionally, if the straw that remains on the threshing floor, in a foreign barbarous language, pinion, which is this day fresh and tomorrow is dried up and is placed in the oven, if Ha'al so clothe her, will he not cover us, O you of little faithfulness? And yet Ha'al thinks on you. So I'm be honest here. This passage right here in Matthew is probably the most personal chapter in all of the Bible for me. It is one that I have rehearsed over the last 2 years more than any other passage. And my prayer life has become so simplified. I can't even tell you how much almost like a child it has become, just breaking down to the core elements of the Lord's Prayer. When I declared to everybody a year and a half ago, now I've been in the ministry, I've been running the Unexpected Cosmology, even when it was back in the day. Some of you veterans will remember it was called Our Way is the Highway. But it's been 8 years now, I think it is. It started January 2007, the very month that Trump in his first term came into office. You guys can do the math on that. So we're in the 9th year now. And a year and a half ago, it would have been January 2024, I told everybody that I was entering the full-time ministry. And by that, I meant that this ministry was going to be the sole income of this household, meaning my wife was going to be, it was it's been a 25-year process of beginning our marriage, even though we were conservatives in California, we were kind of liberals, kind of evangelical Christian liberals to a historical way of thinking. We had fallen for a lot of lies of feminism and other things like that. I'm sorry to say, but we're all waking up and coming out of it. And it becomes overbearing for a lot of us, because some people, they can't take it. They're like, this is so overwhelming. This is too much of a burden for me to, even take little baby steps. And it's been baby steps for us over the years. It was one of the scariest things, I will say, ever, when we're like, that's it. Only one of us are going to work. The other is going to be fully committed to the children and running the household. And, if it came down to the fact that, like, if I could not do this, then I'm going to go get a job elsewhere, and the ministry is falling apart. Right. So we entered this ministry, and it was the scariest thing ever. It was overwhelming. I was so just stressed. I was just taking these long walks. And then my children were reading through Matthew. We didn't have the Paleo back then. We're reading through the Sefer. And within 1 week of me saying, guys, I need your support to do this, they read this chapter out loud. And my wife and I were just like, out of the mouth of babes, right? Like, I don't think they even understood what they were reading. But my own children were reading this to me, and it became one of the most impactful passages of scripture I had ever read. And a daily dependence. One of the number one things that I have heard over this last couple of years spoken to me from the Ruach is to not pay attention to the numbers. And it's hard, right? Because this is the fleshly push where, you see individuals out there that they pull in the numbers really well and really quickly. Now, there's some things at the end of the day, if we're being honest, that kind of fall by the wayside in order to get those numbers. And I wasn't willing to do that. I wasn't willing to sacrifice that. And that's the thing that the Ruach has constantly told me: do not pay attention to the numbers. Watch me work. Watch me take care of you. So yeah, I mean, I'm telling you guys this story. I'm hoping that this can be it's kind of a modern day testimony for me. And even earlier today, it almost happens every Friday where I'm just like ready just to throw in the towel. I'm just like, I don't know if I can keep doing this. I don't know if I can keep doing this week after week after week after week and still bringing the funds to continue this. It's a lot, but I have to constantly remember to hand this over to Yah. And if it's his will, he'll do it. If it's not his will, then the whole thing will fold. So I'm telling you guys this because what we're reading right now, it's almost like this isn't like a lesson for you guys. This is like, I feel like this is for me, and I'm just talking out loud to you guys. This is for me. This is the spiritual, the number one, as we're all out there talking about all these conspiracies and things like that. And did the millennial kingdom happen? And we're in the little season, the age of deception, and we're being lied to, and Trump and Elon and all this different stuff. It's like, this is it, guys. This is the lesson that Yah has been trying to teach me. Do not worry, saying, what shall we eat? And what shall we drink? Speaking of which, I'm going to drink a little bit more coffee. All these the bodies require. And your Father knows all these, your necessities. We think we know what our necessities are. We stack up like, well, I need this and this and this and this, I need my, subscription to Netflix, that kind of stuff. But he's like, don't worry, I'll take care of you, but it may not be the American dream. Seek the set apart kingdom of the American dream. No, that's not what it says. It doesn't say seek ye first the American dream and all these things will be given unto you. That's what the American Dream promises, though. But seek ye first the kingdom of God, according to the King James. Seek the set apart kingdom of Alakuyam and his righteousness, and all these things will be given you in your distress. You should not worry about the day tomorrow. That day tomorrow will be anxious for itself. Sufficient for this day is his trouble. Break 26. YASHA'UA teaches on judging others. I'm not going to be going into like the future. I'm trying to like amp myself up to be like, I need to stop being on a Paul apology tour. Like I need to stop like, even commenting on the anti-Paul crowd when I'm talking about Paul. But I'm telling you right here, this idea of judging others, lest you be judged, like how you judge other people, like that is how you will be judged. That is what scared me straight, guys. Like the fear of hell scared straight. Watching the way that people go, like they have a better understanding of the Torah than Paul does, and Paul was wrong, about all of it. They understand it. They get it right. There's too much grace with Paul, this kind of stuff, and yeah, we're gonna throw Paul out, and you start accusing him of all these things, and then one day I'm like, well, I'm watching, and I'll say it, like there's a lot. I'm not saying all of you. This is going to cause me to lose some more numbers, but it's a lot of hypocrites, a whole lot of hypocrites out there who are projecting onto others, really projecting onto others how they're supposed to live. But I wonder how many times people are actually like they're talking about this gospel message that Paul got it all wrong. They have it right. It's like, okay, so you're living that. Like you're coming down on Paul because he's too slack on some things. You got it down, dude. Okay. But here at the end of the day, it's like, okay, so if Paul is a false witness, what do you, I ask people this question, and they don't want to be tricked into this. They know. It's like, what do you want? What judgment do you think Paul should get? What do you want on this guy? Because this is where this hits the fan. This is where it comes home. How you judge other people is how you will be judged. This is the core behind all of YASHA'UA's teachings in the book of Matthew, and why it is so important to conform to the image of Yahuwah. Do not judge, otherwise you will be judged. Now, this isn't talking here, again, this isn't talking here, like we all judge all the time, every day. Europe is full of traffic circles, which I love way better than stop signs, four-way stop signs. I was commenting to Sarah the other day that I haven't seen any accidents since being here in Europe. I never do. The last time you're here for 6 months, never saw a single accident. You go down to the state of Florida, it is freaky scary. You're on like what is I can't even think of, I've lost track. I forgot, guys. I forgot all the name of the freeways there. The 14 and not the 14, the 40, whatever. You're just like driving along and you just look and boom, cars smashing next to you. Last time I was there, I think it was like 4 or 5 days in a row I was driving, and every time I was driving, there was a total collision like right next to me, and I'm just like, how did I escape that? Rear ending. I watched a bus just collide straight into a car and take out a car. It was crazy. Accidents galore in America. And the thing is that when you got traffic lights, green lights and stuff, or even a four-way stop sign, you're just trusting that everybody else is playing by the rules, and it makes you lazy. And you just, green light, you just go. You're just on your cell phone. Guys, people are on their cell phones here, because if you're on your cell phones, 5 seconds later, you're dead. Okay. And there's not accidents, because the more you have to make these judgment calls, the safer you're going to be. So we are intended to be judges, right? I go out there and I judge whether it is safe for me to cross the street on very simplest terms. That's not what he's talking about here. Do not judge, otherwise you will be judged. With whatever judgment with which you judge, and with whatever measure with which you measure, he will measure out for you. And for what purpose do you observe the straw in the eye of your fellow man when you do not see the crossbeam in your own eyes? And I say that was my entire experience in the anti-Paul crowd. That was it. It was just people with beams in their eyes looking at the speck in the other. And how can you declare to your fellow men, wait for me a little while, and I will get the straw out of your eyes? Behold, the crossbeam is in your own eyes, you flatterer. And he could say this in another way, right? Before you ever bring that sacrifice, go back and clean up your own house. That is an act of worship. You might be bringing the sacrifice more for other people to see it, because obviously if you're cleaning up your own house in private, nobody else is going to see it, right? You're not going to get any praise for that. First, you must remove the crossbeam from your eyes, and afterwards you can remove the straw from the eye of your fellow man. False witness in Deuteronomy. I don't want to show you here that I could probably be doing a much better job of it, but I'm going to be showing some cross references to show that he's literally just quoting from these passages in scripture and just telling you the true spiritual intent of it. One witness shall not rise up against a man for any iniquity, perversity, or depraved action, and for any sin and all the sin which a person shall sin. In the mouth of two witnesses, or perhaps three witnesses, shall a matter be established. If a violent witness rises up against a man to pronounce in a loud voice, implying against him a violation of the law, then the two men which have the contention into them shall stand to the face of YASHA'UA, the ever-living, and to the face of the judges which exist in those days. So accusing someone of anything is a very, very serious offense. And the judges shall tread about, rightly seeking, and behold, the witness is a false witness. He has spoken in a loud voice deceptively against his brother. The sad thing here is he could be deceiving himself too. You could still be a false witness and be like, so proud that you're blinded, self-righteous, right? You could be a super righteous person. This isn't really talking about maybe like a slithering snake, though obviously that's what self-righteous people are. He has spoken in a loud voice deceptively against his brother. I like that loud voice, right? The guy with the loudest voice is usually right. According to the crowd. And you have done unto him like that which he devised to fashion for his brother. So that's the Torah right there. So ask somebody. You guys can go out there and do this. Be like, they're going to accuse Paul of all these things. We can have the discussion whether he, advocated the Torah or not. That's a fair discussion to have. Totally fair discussion. But at the end of the day, we need to be very, very careful of that false accusation. And I was bringing this, I was talking with my admin about this very issue today. And I stated that the apostles had their opportunity to do this very thing, to have multiple witnesses go up, get Barnabas, get Peter, get James, and go out there and say this, that about Paul, put it down in writing, shout it from the rooftops. They never did. They completely botched that opportunity to get those witnesses, to get the witness out there against him. And I say botched, but you guys know what I mean by that. They didn't think it was necessary. Anyways, the witness is a false witness. He has spoken in a loud voice deceptively against his brother, and you have done unto him like that which he devised to fashion for his brother. And you have removed the noxious, hurtful evil from your midst, and the ones remaining shall hear and shall reverently fear, and shall not add any more to fashion yet again like the purposed place of this evil one in your midst. And you shall not have pity in your eye, nephash for nephash, eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth, hand for a hand, foot for a foot. Now, kind of the context here too, it's kind of interesting that this is being enacted on a person who is a disruptor. I personally think that when it comes to these capital punishments or other things in the Torah, these cutting offs and so on and so forth, that this is a sign of eternity, right? Like people think of it like a guy. I'll give this example because I find this super offensive. A dude out there committing adultery with other men's wives. He's going around sleeping with other men's wives, right? And he's like, "Hey, I'm getting away with it. Nobody's doing anything. Maybe they're getting divorced or whatever, but nobody. There's no consequence for this, and it's gonna happen. Like it's gonna catch up. All these things are gonna catch up with us in eternity." Yashua's teaching on Ha'al's provision, break 27. Do not give the set apart glad tidings unto dogs, and do not set your face to the face of a pig. Now, in about a chapter or two, the pig thing is going to come up again. Otherwise, they will gnaw her before your eyes and then turn themselves from her to rip you. Ask from Ha'al, and he will give to you. Seek, and you will find. Knock, and he will open to you. Everyone who asks, he will receive. And to the one calling out, he will open. Who among you, when his son asked for him a slice of bread, would give him a stone? Or perhaps conditionally, should he seek a fish, would he give him a nakash? That would be a serpent. But conditionally, if you, with your existing as evil ones, you go to give excellent gifts before your own face, how much more shall your Father who is in Shamayim give his good Ra'uk unto his seekers? And all which you desire that the sons of Adam should fashion to you, you should fashion unto them. This is the Torah and the prophets. I want to talk here about, let me just rephrase this again. Now, keep in mind that, you know that Messiah was accused by the Pharisees of eating with sinners. And I have seen this gone in not 100 different ways, multiple different ways, and even perverted and twisted. Yashua was coming for the sick, as you guys know, but he was coming for the sick who were seeking help. He wasn't going amongst, the scoffers and the mockers. According to Psalm 1, right? He wasn't going into the den of iniquity. He wasn't going into, just perverse areas. He was going amongst the outcasts, but those who were seeking truth. And that is what we need to recognize in terms of, like, for example, when we go to Peter's vision of the animals on the sheets, and you guys all know, I hope, that it was not a vision about eating unclean animals. Like, Yah is not saying he's changed his mind, and he wasn't going to put it down in writing. He was just going to give this private little vision to Peter to go off and, and everyone else had to get the memo along the line. Clearly, Peter interprets it. He has it 3 times, and 3 times he gets the interpretation. It's about people, right? So that to not call people unclean, but there is still a condition there. There are still unclean people. It doesn't say all people are unclean. It's those who are seeking the truth. They are not to be unclean. They may be sick, but they're not unclean. They need a doctor. They need health in terms of spiritual health and maybe physical health too. And he says right here, and do not set your face to the face of a pig. And he's actually talking about people here. He says, do not give the set apart tidings unto dogs. He's not talking about your pet dog. You're not going to rip out a page of your Bible and feed it to your dog. He's talking about human dogs, and he's talking about human pigs. So yes, Yashua is saying here, he didn't change his mind later with Peter. He's saying, do not hang around pigs. So this is what it says. Before I get into that, I'm going to lose this train of thought. And I've confessed this to my group. I don't know if I've really said this publicly on a YouTube channel. I, guess really my main community watches this anyways. My Bible studies get lower ratings than everything else, and that's totally okay. This is another passage that really speaks to me, because I think that one of the reasons. So there's 2 things as I see it. There's truth and there's perception. So whenever I'm seeking the truth and I come to a type of maybe conclusion, or if I have a thesis, I will ask myself, is this a perception? A perception is something that I feel or I rationalize that may be a phantom, it may not be real. So how you feel is a perception, but how you feel isn't necessarily the truth. I mean, we see this in the main culture now. A guy may feel like he's a woman, but that doesn't make him a woman. He's a man. He is an XY chromosome. He can't change that. He may be a little bit more effeminate. He may be, have a little less testosterone. He may not be an alpha male, but he might be a beta, but he's still a man. He's a beta man, but he's still a man. So, it doesn't mean you start playing women's sports and pulverizing women because you feel like you're a woman. That's a perception. It's not truth. So, my perception of Elohim, I think this is why what we're reading through I find so incredibly beautiful and healing, but also it really plays at my own insecurities. Because at the end of the day, and I would ask each of you maybe to evaluate this. Maybe I'm wrong about this, generally speaking, but I think how we perceive our perception of Elohim, our Father in heaven, God, is based on our own Father here on earth. Like he forms, the thing is about our Father is when you look at like father-son themes in literature and movies, the Father is immortal where the Son is mortal, right? The Son often finds his immortality through the Father. It has to be through a very troubled relationship, often but not always a very troubled relationship with the Father. And so, and I'm not saying this to dishonor my father in any way, shape, or form. I had a great upbringing. My parents taught me to take the Bible literally, and that's what I did. And I am pursuing the Torah to honor my parents, even if they don't see it that way. Nevertheless, I do have a father who I think probably thinks I'm very strange, and he's not really interested in me. He calls me artsy fartsy, things like that. And he's just someone kind of like the thought of me kind of, rolls his eyes. What is he saying now? That kind of stuff, right? We don't have to take anything this guy seriously. I don't hear from him. He doesn't want to talk to me, stuff like that, right? And so this is because of my earthly father, I have this perception now of my heavenly Father. And I think the same way. I think, maybe he's a little distant from me, and he isn't really interested in me. He thinks, maybe I'm not of great value. Maybe I'm an embarrassment to him. These are the thoughts I have, guys. This is my day to day, and I still charge ahead. I pursue him, and I want knowledge, and I want wisdom, and I want to love him, and I want to serve him. But I can't help thinking that's my perception. It is a false perception. Nevertheless, it is a perception that is hard to overcome. And so when he says here, and I don't know, maybe this is speaking to someone's life. Maybe somebody else needs to hear this out here. This is why I'm kind of being vulnerable and just being open about my own experience. But let me just read this paragraph again. Who among you, when his son asked for him a slice of bread, would give him a stone? Or perhaps conditionally, should he seek a fish, would give him a serpent, a nakash? That's kind of like, I don't think of my Father in heaven that way, nor my earthly father. But, there is that kind of, YASHA'UA is speaking here about a kind of a mistrust. Like, people don't really have faith that their Father will provide for them because they don't really think that he has their best in mind. Or maybe we know deep down inside that the American dream really isn't, how he's going to provide for us. Maybe that is the idol in our life that we have to give the axe to. And all which you desire that the son of Adam should fashion to you, you should fashion unto them. This is the Torah and the prophets. Now, let me read, showing you the idea of there is no better, I shouldn't say there's no better. There's no better passage that I like to quote from, and I've quoted from it a few times over the last couple of years, than the Epistle of Barnabas, on the idea that watching the letter of the law and the spirit of the law come together and not collide, but fit like a perfect puzzle piece. And so what Barnabas is going to be talking about here is the confusion of the Yahudim, that they were actually a very piggish people. They were the dogs that YASHA'UA didn't want to throw the mysteries of heaven to, and yet they ate clean. And so Barnabas is saying, like, they kind of confused this. They got it right that they were to eat a certain way, but they thought that's what all they were supposed to do. So they didn't treat the Torah as a transformative document. Anyways, this is what Barnabas says. When Moshe said, "You will not eat the swine, the eagle, the hawk, the crow, or any fish that has no scales," he had three principles in mind. For at the end, he enumerates them in Deuteronomy or Devarim. I will place before this people my Torah. So this is not Elohim's commandment about crunching. Rather, Moshe spoke in the spirit about swine. You will not cleave to piggish people of this sort. Now, I want to quickly point out that the Epistle of Barnabas is used as propaganda to states that, here you have someone who was very close with the apostles and Paul, who was anti-Torah. And they will use this as proof that they were pushing away from the Torah. Unfortunately, those are some bad translations. Those are translations. There is a true conspiracy, or on the part of the translators to, put their own agenda in there. That is not what Barnabas is saying. You will not cleave to piggish people of this sort. When they get full, they forget the master. And when they are in need, they think of the master. So think of how Barnabas just defined a piggish people. This is one of the reasons why we should be praying when we're done with a meal rather than before. We're hungry and we sit down to a meal and we're like, thank God, thank you for this, rub-a-dub-dub, thanks for the grub. I'm so glad to have this. Once you're full, you're like, I'm good. And think about this, how many times Allah Hayam, our Father in Heaven's like, yep, here Joe or Bobby comes again. He's in need of me. He wasn't interested in me for the last, 30, 60 days, like 40 days without Bobby needing me, but he's in distress now. So he's forgot all about me, but now he needs a full stomach. So here he comes. He's a piggish person. That's how Barnabas defines it here. Don't be a piggish person. When they get full, they forget the master. And when they are in need, they think of the master. Or like the swine who does not know its master when it eats. When hungry, it cries out. And once it has received, is quiet again. Nor will you eat the buzzard, the hawk, the kite, or the crow. Now keep in mind, he's saying here not to eat them. And he'll clarify this also in the future. He means that you will not cleave to nor be like the people of this sort who do not know not how to provide for themselves by labor and sweat, but in their iniquity they seize the property of others. These are, of course, thieves. Of course, that's what they do, right? They will take roadkill and things like that. They observe, watching whom they will plunder in their covetousness, while they carry on as though innocent. The same way these birds provide no food for themselves but work, but sitting idly by, seek out how they can eat the meats of others. And you might observe them, these kind of birds will literally steal babies from nests and things like that. You'll see them taking other, birds' foods that they worked hard to collect. Some people are likewise destructive on accounts of their evil works. And you will not eat the lamprey, the octopus, or the squid. And he means you will not cleave to or become like people of this sort who are immoral to the end, having already been condemned to death, even as these accursed fish swim alone in the abyss, not suspended as the others, but dwelling in the muck in the depth of the sea. Now, keep in mind here that Barnabas has just contrasted unclean fish with clean fish, generally speaking. That the clean fish are suspended, right? They're out in the light. They're out in the open. They're not hidden under, in the dark spaces. Have you guys ever seen an octopus out in the wild? They're really creepy. I remember the last time when I saw, I was snorkeling off Hawaii, going through the coral reef, and I just had this feeling like there was something there. And of course, there's fish everywhere. But I looked and I had to take a double take. I'm like, oh my goodness. It was like a big eye. But then I saw the tentacles in the head and it was like conformed to the rock. And it was this octopus down in a crack and then like staring up at me. He says, you will not eat the rabbits. And he means by that, you will not be I don't even want to say it on air. It's one of those things that people have advised me not to read this on air. You could read the word there for yourself. It's one of those things that very naughty elite, Maxwell, and Epstein list, stuff like that. It's kind of the talk of the town. But anyways, back in Barnabas's day, that was an issue too. And there was a lot of people like that. So you don't want to be like those kind of individuals. Enough on that verse. Verse 7, nor will you eat the hyena. Who eats the hyena? Maybe people do. I don't even know if people in Africa eat the hyena, but you never know. Meaning you will not be an effeminate seducer of children or a wanton, abortive fornicator. Ooh. Or any such person, because the hyena's traits change each year, becoming like a male one year and like a female the next. Yeah. There's actually a lot of, when you look back there, the first, second, third century, there's a lot of different scientific journals and things like that where they're commenting on the hyena being effeminate. So that's not unique to the Epistle of Barnabas. People will read that and go like, what is he talking about? But that was actually very common back then to refer to them in such a way. Nor will you eat the weasel, and with good reason. You will not be like those who hear about who do forbidden and immoral acts in their mouths. Excuse me. For these creatures, it's like I choking on my own breath here. For these creatures gush forth into their mouths. So Moshe spoke of these three teachings about food in a spiritual sense, but the people, in accordance with the lust of their flesh, receive them as being only about eating. Now, keep in mind there are some translators that'll be like, they will change it and they'll say receive them as being about eating, which is very different than saying receive them as being only about eating. Clearly they were about eating, but not just about eating. They were about character. And that is the deeper spiritual law that YASHA'UA came to teach us about, to not eat pig, but not to be a piggish person, or to relate to pigs or hang out with pigs in the pigsty. Just don't do it, metaphorically and literally. Even David receives knowledge of these three teachings, and he says in like manner, blessed is the one who has not gone into the council chamber of the irreverent. Speaking of a Psalm 1 here, my favorite psalm. Even as fish make their way in darkness into the depths, and has not stood in the way of sinners, even as those who pretend to fear Yahweh sin like swine, and has not sat in the seats of the destructive, even as do the perching birds looking out for booty. But in the end, you do indeed have a complete commandment covering food. For Moshe said, eat everything that is cloven-footed and choose the cud. What does he mean? The cruncher takes food from the muncher, and becoming dependent upon him for food, acts as though he were glad. See how well Moshe discerns the commandment? He means cleave to those who fear Yahweh, who walk in his commandments, who have received them into their hearts. Cleave to those who discuss Yahweh's commandments and observe them. This is, of course, a command in the Torah to do anyways. Cleave to those who know that practicing them is a work of gladness. Cleave to them who meditate on the word of Yahuwah. And again, what is the meaning of with cloven hoof? It means that the one who cleaves to righteousness walks in this world, yet cleaves to the expectation of the set-apart age to follow. Is this not like perfect commentary on what we're just reading on YASHA'UA? Right? We're not seeking a reward in this world. We're walking through this world. We're workmen in this world. But to be cloven, to be a clean animal, is living according to the gnosis. Maybe you don't have the gnosis yet. Maybe it's just an understanding at this point. Maybe you're working towards that gnosis of truly knowing that that the kingdom of heaven is within, but it is not of this world. Consider how well Moshe has made this Torah. How is it possible for anyone to recognize or understand these things? No matter. We speak them just as Yahweh willed, because we have correctly understood his commandments. For this cause, he circumcised our ears and hearts so we might appreciate them all. All right. YASHA'UA's teaching concerning the narrow gate. At that time, YASHA'UA spoken to his students, enter into the narrow gate. The gate leading to destruction is wide and is a place of shadows, meaning I think there that the cheshach, right? You're conforming to the image of Azazel. Many are the ones walking through her. How narrow the gate and how difficult the way that leads into life, and few are the ones who go through her. YASHA'UA's teaching concerning false prophets. Again, YASHA'UA spoke to them, be careful of the false prophets who come near you in woolen clothing, resembling sheep, but in their interior they are predatory wolves, and it is by their deeds you will recognize them. Does an Adam gather grapes from the thorns or figs from the brackens? Every good tree will fashion good fruit, and every evil tree will fashion evil fruit. Now, because we're in the intellectual world, right? We're not just in the theological world. We're in the religio-political world. Like we're looking at conspiracy. We're looking at all these different ideas. We're looking at different doctrines, beliefs, patterns through history. He said, she said. We're looking at different books, what's right, what's wrong, Trinity, no Trinity. You guys get my drift. And most church denominations, particularly in Protestantism, but Catholicism and Orthodoxy and others, they all fall into this trap. So often it's like, if you do not believe what I believe, you are apostate, you are a heretic, you have fallen from grace. You guys have all seen this before. And I see people out there, they will bring this up, what I'm talking about, and then they will do it themselves. At the end of the day, the way we can judge someone is not necessarily always about the idea. It's not like whether you're a modalist or a Trinitarian or an Arian or whatever, fill in the blank. It's not whether or not you believe that the Holy Spirit is like the extended spirit of the Father, the power of the, or like whatever the Father, or if you believe that the Holy Spirit is a third person of the Trinity, or it, as I believe that, she is Hakamaha, right? Wisdom, mother of Israel. It's not about those things. It's not whether or not you believe the earth is a globe or flat. It's not whether or not you believe the millennial kingdom happened yet or not, or whether or not you believe that Revelation is future tense, and it's going to connect somehow with modern Zionism and the eschatological game. It's about fruit. It's not about what calendar you keep. It's not about whether Paul is true or false apostle. It's about your fruit. And that is how we can judge people. We can judge whether or not they have good fruit. Now, we need to be careful about judging the state of their soul, and thank God that I am not the judge of that. I'm not the judge of my own life. I'm not the judge of anybody's life in terms of their eternal status. That is up to YASHA'UA himself. And, obviously, in the millennial kingdom sense, he does hand over judgment to the resurrected saints. That's not me yet. I'm not in that position. Don't have to worry about that right now. Maybe someday I will. Maybe someday you will. But right now we can know people by their fruit. Not the idea, the fruit. And I think we can judge a lot of ideas by fruits. When you're seeing an idea out there and it just rots, like producing rots in people to the core, might be a huge red flag. Just saying. And the good tree will not be able to produce evil fruits, and the evil tree will not be able to fashion good fruit. And any tree which does not fashion good, pleasant, admirable fruit, the life of which he will be burned. To each according to their fruits, that is, by their deeds, you will recognize them. Not everyone. Now, this is going to go into one of the most famous passages in Scripture, and one that not only I, but probably all of us like to quote a lot. Not everyone who says toward me, Ada Unuya, or in the King James, Lord, Lord, will enter into the kingdom of Shamayam. However, the ones who fashion the desire of my Father who is in Shamayam, he will enter into the kingdom of Shamayam. And again, I would say here that this is not necessarily what you believe. I think you could be completely ignorant and you could be wrong about a lot of theology. And you could still have a heart for Yahuwah and you have a desire to serve him. You get my point? Like you don't like you think, I claim that YASHA'UA is the son, and for some people that's unforgivable. Like, oh, this guy, that's proof. That's proof that this guy, he's not saved. I mean, I've got all the answers and I know the truth and I know I'm saved, and he disagrees with me, so he's not. We get that all the time out there. No, it's like it could be someone who you don't even you think you're praying to the Father the whole time, and you keep praying to Yahweh or Yahuwah or Yahweh or Yahuwah, and it turns out he's really the Son, right? It's kind of ironic, but you get to heaven, and it's like, you know what? Yeah, you had bad theology. It's cool. It's all cool. Like, we'll straighten that out, but you had my heart, and that's what counts. A great many will say toward me in that day, Lord, Lord, or Ada Unuya, was it not on your behalf that we did prophesy, and on your behalf we did cast out demons, and we did fashion great signs in your name? And then I will say to them, from ancient time, from ancient time, I never knew you. Depart from me, all you workers of iniquity. Some of you Calvinists out there are going to love that line right there. Yeah, so there was something I was going to say about this. Yeah, the charismatic crowd. I've stated this publicly, that I used to come down a lot harder on the charismatic crowd. I have since pushed back on that. No, I do not speak in tongues. There are people who do follow this channel. There are people higher up in this ministry that do speak in tongues or advocate speaking in tongues. I myself do not. I kind of like, at the end of the day, I got to this point where it's kind of like, what happens in the bedroom, maybe it just stays in the bedroom. Just, like, I don't need to go in there and like dictate, how a husband and wife has intercourse. Oh, you're doing it wrong. You're in the wrong position. It's like, no, you know what? Just whatever happens in the bedroom stays in the, it's kind of like whatever happens in the prayer closet stays in the prayer closet. I don't need to go out there and write these papers and all these things, condemning what they're doing, speaking in tongues. Even though I think I'm talking about babbling. I don't believe babbling is a biblical language. I don't believe it is the language of the angels. That's my position. See, we're talking about theology now, right? When we need to be talking about fruit. But what I find why the charismatic crowd is the most difficult mission field in terms of preaching the Torah to them is because I get from them all the time this passage right here, and they'll be like, "Oh, but you don't understand. You don't understand. It is alive. It's lit in my church. Like, people are, they're speaking, prophesying, and having dreams and visions and rolling around, and it's just amazing. And God speaks to me all the time, and we're casting out demons. I mean, demons are like knocking on the door of our house, and we're like, saying Jesus. And it's the same thing. Remember, like, you guys get this, like when we try to pronounce his name correctly, I say YASHA'UA now, but it's like, Yeshua or Yahusha or whatever. And they're like, what, Yahusha? What's that? I pray to Jesus and I cast out demons. It's like, well, that's nice. Yeah, I mean, I do believe that demons are repelled at the name of Jesus, but that has nothing to do with your eternal security at all, according to this passage right here. Nothing at all. And then I will say to them, of course, from ancient time, I never knew you. Let's go back and look at the Deuteronomy 13 test. I'm going to start in Deuteronomy 12, and because I want to show you that that the idea of, we have this idea of false prophets. We are taught this in the church, and it still carries over in the Torah community. And I don't fully agree with this statement. We are taught that the sign of a false prophet is somebody who says something and it doesn't come out to be true. Contrarily, if they do say something that comes out to be true, then they're a true prophet. But that's actually not how a true or false prophet, if I'm reading this right, is defined in the Deuteronomy 13 test. So again, starting back in 12, I want to read this just a little bit so you get the a little bit better the context. When YASHA'UA, your Allah, shall cut off the nations where you go there as a powerful sign, moving into the land of Canaan, to possess them from before your face, and you dispossess them, and you settle down to dwell in their land, keep watch for yourself. Beware, lest you be caught, snared into following after them, after their destruction from before your face. And beware lest you trample about seeking for their Allahayam, to declare how the nation served them, their Allahayam. So this idea is it's trying to figure out how people serve these other gods and then incorporating it into your faith, right? That I may so fashion in like manner. You will not fashion in that manner unto YASHA'UA your Allahaya. For every abomination which YASHA'UA hates, have they fashioned unto their Allahaya. For even their sons and their daughters they have burned in fire unto their Allahaya. The entire matter which I have commanded you, you have guarded to fashion these. You will not increase over them, and you will not scratch off, taking away from part of them. Okay, so I just want to set up there that these prophets are going to arise, are going to try to get you to, like win in Rome, right? Do as the pagans do. And here we get into the Deuteronomy 13 test. And it says, if a prophet will arise in your midst, or perhaps a dreamer, and will give toward you a powerful sign, or perhaps a splendid deed. And here's the catch. And the powerful sign or the splendid deed which he purpose has come to pass, and should declare, we will walk after Allahayam Akaream, which you have not known, and serve them. Now keep in mind, remember Balaam was a prophet. He was actually a prophet of YASHA'UA in that case. I mean, he was prophesying for Yah. You will not hear and obey toward the speech of that prophet, or perhaps toward the dreamer of the dreams, for YASHA'UA, your Allahaya, does to test you to acquire knowledge. So keep in mind, this is, of course, all a test. And of course, this all seems to pattern with what YASHA'UA was telling us in Matthew. All right, jumping ahead now. Break 30. I didn't go near as far tonight as I thought I would. You could see here 32. I thought I was going to go through all 32 pages. Break 30. YASHA'UA's teaching on the wise and foolish builders. Again, YASHA'UA said to them, anyone hearing and obeying these instructions and who fashions them is similar to a wise man who builds a house upon a rock, and the rain descends upon him, and the Ra'uka'uth presses upon him, and he does not fall, for beneath him his foundation is stone. And anyone hearing these words and who does not fashion them is similar to a foolish man who builds his house upon the sand. And the rainfall descends, and the floods come upon him, and they overthrow him. He will fall with a great collapse. And it existed at the same time that YASHA'UA spoke these words. All the people existed greatly amazed at his excellent behaviors, for his preaching existed unto them with great power, not like that of the wise ones. YASHA'UA encounters a leprous man. And it existed when YASHA'UA descended from the mountain that a great company of people followed after him. And behold, one leper came, and he bowed down to him, saying, Adon, conditionally, if you will, can you bring yourself to heal me? I actually love the way Pamela writes this. Let me just read what he says in the King James first. It says, and Jesus put forth his hand and touched him, saying, I will. But then look at how Pamela phrases this. And YASHA'UA stretched forth his hand, and he touched upon him, saying, I want to be purified. And in that same time, the leper was purified from his leprosy. And YASHA'UA declared toward him, guard yourself, lest you tell this unto Adham, and walk to the priest to sacrifice your victim, which Mashiach commanded in your Torah. Isn't that interesting? He actually tells him to actually go make a sacrifice there. I just say that for the crowd out there that says that the sacrifices were never intended in the Torah, that they were added later by, corrupt or pagan people to follow pagan practices. Of course, we see the sacrifices going all the way back to Adam and Eve and to Cain and Abel. But here, YASHA'UA is commanding him after he's healed and cleansed to go according to the Torah and make a sacrifice. YASHA'UA heals a noble minister's son. And it existed as he came into the village of Consolation, Capernaum, or Kafar Nukaum of the Meretha, that a noble minister of hundreds came toward him, and he began to entreat of him, saying, Ada Unuya, my son lies in my house from the illness of constriction, in a barbarous language, Thayara, I can't pronounce that, guys. but it's the palsy, right? He has the palsy. And who is consumed by the illness? And he said toward him, I will walk and I will heal him. But however, the noble minister of hundreds answered and said unto him, Ada unuya, I am not worthy for you to come beneath my roof, but only firmly declare the decree and he will be healed. For I am a sinful Adam and have present to me those who have governed under my hand, Pharisees and cavalry and riders. And I firmly declare to one of them, walk and he will walk, go and he will go. And to my servant fashion this, and so he will fashion. And YASHA'UA heard and he was amazed. And to the attendees followed him said, Aman, I firmly declare unto you, I have not encountered such great faithfulness in Yasharel. For I firmly declare unto you that many will come who are from the rising of the light and who are from the setting of the sun, and will rest with Abraham and with Yitzchak and with Yaakov in the kingdom of Shamayam. But the sons of the kingdom will exist to us in the darkness of Gehenna, and there he will exist, crying and gnashing his teeth. A really interesting passage there. And let me just read from the King James. It says, but the children of the kingdom shall be cast out into outer darkness. There shall be weeping and gnashing of teeth. It seems like these two give a similar, but maybe a little bit different of a picture. But it is interesting that the context here does seem to be the millennial kingdom in both cases, talking about these Gentiles all over the world, to the amazements of the Yahudim, who are going to be thrown into shame. They're coming down and seating with the people who the Jews claim is their father, but it's actually the father of the Goyim in this case. Of course, the Goyim are grafted into Israel, as you know. But they're sitting now with Abraham and Yitzchak and Yaakov in the kingdom of Shamayam, right? And but it says the sons of the kingdom will exist to us in the darkness of Gehenna. Interesting phrasing. I think we've all pondered and wondered, is this talking about that generation? And I think it is. I mean, I believe it is. But I also wonder if it's talking about, just future generations in general, particularly our generation, right? Are we in the outer darkness? Are we here are we outside New Jerusalem now and hoping to get back into it again? Are we here to produce good fruit versus rotten fruit? And YASHA'UA spoke to the noble ministers of hundreds, walk, and just as was firmly spoken to, he will be fashioned to you. And the boy was healed at that same time. Break 33. YASHA'UA enters the house of Petros. This would be Peter or Kepha. At that time, YASHA'UA entered into the house of Petros, and behold, his mother-in-law was lying down. She was burning up with fever. And he touched her hand, and the burning fever left her, and she rose up and she served him. And it existed at the time of Arab that they came toward him, the ones possessed by demons, and he healed them with his declaration alone. And all the sicknesses were healed, to complete what was spoken through the hand of the prophet YASHA'UA or Isaiah. Indeed, our sickness he has carried, and our pains he has lifted them up. Break 34. YASHA'UA comments on the cost of following him. This was another really interesting line by Pamela in here. And I highlighted it because I'm like, what in the world do I do with this? I mean, I have my ideas. I'll read this to you guys. You guys can see what you think about it. And it existed after this that YASHA'UA observed a great company in a circuit round about him. So, right, there's a big crowd around him. That's not necessarily what I want you to see, and he commanded them to walk, to cross over the sea. Now, Pamela, am I reading this wrong? I don't know. I mean, is he saying walk around the sea? I'm going to take a boat. I'll meet you on the other side. Just go walk over there, walk your, cute little tushes over there, and I'll eventually meet you on the other side. Or is he kind of trying to call them to a much greater act of faithfulness? Is he literally here saying to cross, to walk to cross over the sea. So not cross over the sea in a boat, but to walk. And of course, we see him as our master, our master interpreter of the Torah, model it for us, right? He literally walked across the water. I don't know. I'll just leave that for you guys to think about. And a wise one approached and he said, Adanu, I will walk and follow after you in any place where you walk. So is this kind of a play on words here? Maybe this guy doesn't get it. I mean, let's just say that Yahshua is really kind of giving like a double entendre here or something. Like he's like, yeah, there's two meanings here. I want you to walk and follow me, but like literally, like let's just go like walk across the sea. Like right now, let's just walk across the sea, the Lake Tiberias or the Sea of Galilee. And this other guy's like, yeah, I'll walk with you wherever you go. Maybe he gets it or maybe he doesn't. And he's like, yeah, I totally want to walk across the water with you, but, and this is what he says. And Yahshua answered toward him, foxes have holes and birds have nests, but for the son of Adam, the son of the Bethulah, there lacks a place for him to put his head. And one of his students said to him, leave me, I must walk, and I must bury my father. And Yahshua said to him, go, follow after me and leave the dead to bury their dead. I mean, there's so many like plays on words here. So he says, go, like, there's a green, like go that direction. But then he says, follow after me, which I find really confusing on the surface. Like, how can you go bury your father, go do that task, but you're still following me? I'm going this way, you're going that way. But then he says, and leave the dead to bury the dead, which if he's truly saying that, he's actually commanding him to break the Torah. We know that he wasn't doing that. He was not commanding him to break the Torah. We know that you're supposed to bury the dead. In the book of Tobit, that's what one of the things that made Tobit righteous is that there are all these dead people everywhere, and he just kept burying them. Nobody else was doing it, apparently, or very few. And people were like, why do you keep doing this, Tobit? And he's like, well, I'm reading in the book right here. I'm supposed to do this. There's a dead people there. I'm going to go bury them. So I was thinking a lot about this today. What did Yahshua mean by this? And, he's got parables everywhere. I don't know if you want to call them riddles, but, there's these deeper meanings that really makes us stop. And sometimes we just need to stop and instead of just reading on to the next chapter, like, what do you mean, Yahshua? What are you talking about here? So I read this in Psalms today, Psalm 115. I'm going to read you the whole Psalm, and I'm going to see if you can, I put here the caption, the dead in Psalms. I want you to see if you're going to maybe pick up on what I'm seeing. Not unto us, O Yahweh, not unto us, but unto thy name give glory, for thy mercy and for thy truth's sake. Wherefore should the heathen say, where is now their Elohim? But our Elohim is in the heavens. He hath done whatsoever he hath pleased. Their idols are silver and gold, the work of men's hands. So first, let's start contrasting this to the ways of the heathen is idolatry, right? And it's contrasting the worth of idols, which is worthless, to our Elohim in the heavens. Their idols are silver and gold, the work of men's hands. They have mouths, but they speak not. Eyes have they, but they see not. They have ears, but they hear not. Noses have they, but they smell not. They have hands, but they handle not. Feet have they, but they walk not. Neither speak they through their throat. This is almost like Abraham's revelation, right? They that make them are like unto them. So is everyone that trusteth in them. O Yasharel, trust thou in Yahweh. He is their help and their shield. O house of Aaron, would be Levites, trust in Yahweh. He is their help and their shield. Ye that fear Yahweh, trust in Yahweh. He is their help and their shield. Yahweh hath been mindful of us. He will bless us. He will bless the house of Yasharel. He will bless the house of Aaron. He will bless them that fear Yahweh, both small and great. Yahweh shall increase you more and more, you and your children. Ye are blessed of Yahweh, which made heaven and earth. The heaven, even the heavens, are Yahweh's, but the earth hath he given to the children of men. The dead, I'm highlighting this for you so you could see it for yourself. The dead praise not Yahweh, neither any that go down into silence. But we will bless YAHA'UA from this time forth and forevermore. Praise YAHA'UA. So I'm going to read verse 17, and then I'm going to go back up and read Matthew again. We're going to see if we can cross-reference this. The dead praise not YAHA'UA, neither any that go down into silence. And this seems to be speaking in the context here of the heathen nations. It's almost like referring to them as dead men, just like the idols that they worship. They're dead men. They're not living. And it said, and Yahshua said to him, go follow after me and leave the dead to bury the dead. Seems to be talking there about setting aside the circumstances or the cultural circumstances we find ourselves in from a spiritually dead people, and to not let all those concerns of that life overburden us from following him. Because remember, he just warned this guy. He's like, foxes have holes and birds have nests, but the son of Adam has nowhere to put his head. That's what you can expect if you follow me. So you're looking for things like, if you want to follow me, you have to be okay with all these worldly things, these concerns you have, the idea of burying the dead, these dead men, these spiritually dead men with their idols, you have to be willing to put that aside. I think that's what he's talking about. Also here, let's see, I talked about the worship of the dead. I'm just going to skip that for lack of time. And I do want to cover the calming the sea, and then I'll pick up the demon-possessed men next week, even though it relates to the pig and the piggish people. You guys know the story, right? I'll repeat it next week, but he cast the demons out from piggish people, and they naturally go into pigs, which are also forbidden to eat. Amazing how that works. They didn't go into cattle or sheep or giraffes. What are some other kosher clean eating? They didn't go into scaled fish with fins. But this is what we're going to close on tonight. Break 35, YASHA'UA calms the stormy sea, which is amazing, right? If I'm reading this right, he's like, walk across the sea with me. Come with me, walk across the sea. You're not going to have anywhere to lay your head. And of course, the disciples are on there. Now, this isn't the story here where they're sleeping on the ship. It could be the same one. Matthew doesn't describe it as that, but you guys know the story. But it's so interesting how there's this buildup, isn't there? Like, walk across the sea with me, oh, you of little faith. You have nowhere to rest your head. Like, the Father's going to take care of your needs, and then boom, here's the test. It's like they're all like, his disciples, like, yeah, we agree to that, and then boom, the storm hits, the storm in their life. Not just a physical storm, but the spiritual storm that comes along. Everyone starts freaking out. And it happened when Yahshua entered on board the ship that his students followed after him. And a great storm existed on the sea, and the waves came up excessively. And the ship turned about enough to be broken up. And his students approached toward him, and they asked from him, saying, "O our Adonai, save us, otherwise we will perish." No, that's a good prayer to have. Obviously, if a tornado is coming right at me, I think the first thought in my mind would be like, save me, God, save me right now, because I'm about to get sucked up into this tornado. I'm about to enter the suck zone. If you remember the movie Twister, it's about to happen. And he said toward them, "For what purpose are you staring at one another? O you of little faithfulness." That's interesting, isn't it? So he's like, why don't you, like, if I'm reading this right, he's like, maybe they had just the wrong intent in their heart. He's like, yeah, you're not even looking to me. Like I'm over here, guys. Just pay attention to me. I'm calm. I'm cool. Just do what I do. And he arose and he commanded for the sea and for the Ra'uka'uth that they rest. And immediately they rested. And the men who were there, who observed him, they wondered. And they said, "Who is that the Ra'uka'uth, or the sea, and the sea I'm sorry, the winds in the sea, like the ruach, the ra'uka uth, the winds in the sea fashion his will. I'm going to end there tonight. Thank you everybody for being a part of this. And, tonight was talking about the Father providing for us. You guys know the situation. I mean, it's been really rough recently, and I had to um, tell Rebecca that she would no longer be running the store. Nothing that she did wrong. It would just, the funds weren't coming in. And last month we were 4,000 behind. Just to pay for, get Pamela paid for this month, it's still like a behemoth task, guys, a fundraising. I'm kind of over GoFundMe. Honestly, I feel like GoFundMe has been frustrating a lot of people. And I think subconsciously, like, it's just been messing with people. Like, we just, we've got Venmo, we've got PayPal, we've got Patreon. Guys, just if this ministry has been a blessing on you, if this community has been a blessing on you, if the teachings, the videos, the research, all the different stuff we do, the Paleo Hebrew, all the stuff we're coming out with, the extra biblical books, guys, just, I ask you guys to please provide. We're always like it feels this way. This is my perception. It always feels like we're like 6 weeks away from closing our doors, and then I'm like, well, I'll have to go get another job. That's kind of it. And I need you guys. Support. I've really been putting a lot of a huge push on Patreon recently. I'm putting unique content out there. Those who are, I just came out with like 3 big reports in the last couple of weeks, and we're talking like 50 to 70, 80 page reports. St. George, the 7,000 year timeline of St. George. I just did the Moonraker piece, which, people laugh, oh, James Bond, haha. But actually Moonraker is an incredible piece that talks about, it's the grand psyop of connecting stolen history in the millennial kingdom with the depopulation agenda of the New World Order, the space hoax, the alien agenda, the underground alien psyop, and just even the Mandela effect, right? It brings everything together, and came out with the gargoyles. All those right now are Patreon exclusive. For all my supporters out there, we just dropped today the first 6 chapters of Paleo Joshua. We're showing it to you guys, so I really appreciate it, guys. If everybody were just at $5 a month minimal, we would be good to go. And I think people are so overwhelmed. They're like, I can't give $500 a month. I can't give $100 a month. I can't do that. It's like, guys, $5 a month. $5 a month will do it. Yeah. And you guys know I hate asking for money. I really do. Anyways, I love you guys. In about 1 hour, we're going to start up, I think, whatever. Yeah. Don't make me do the math on this. Yeah. In less than an hour, I'm going to be on, Tuck Discord. We're going to do Kingdom Verse, roundtable there, get the community together. A lot of things have been in the news, a lot of things to discuss. You guys can ask your questions, any questions you have for me or the group, or just something you want to talk about, just some thing out there that you've read and you want to talk about some conspiracy. It's open conversation. Let's do this again, guys. Good night, everybody.
Hello. My name is Paulie Hart, and we are at the smallest church in America, in Townsend, Georgia. And I've got the Bible here, and I'm actually facing the back. That's usually I'd face that way. So I'm going to read to you a verse from the Holy Bible, and I don't know what version this is. This is the NIV, non-inspired version, but it's still okay. We're going to get through it together. I am in Deuteronomy 26, and I'm reading from Deuteronomy because it's very important for me to have you understand where I'm coming from. I'm coming from a place where I grew up knowing this and reading this and understanding this, but I was taught that half of it wasn't true. So I've changed, basically, because my dad made me memorize Psalm chapter 1, which says that if you meditate on the Torah day and night, you'll be like a tree planted by the rivers of water. So now that I believe the Torah, and I meditate on it day and night, I actually do the Torah, which is amazing. And I am actually becoming a tree planted by the rivers of water. So Deuteronomy is the basis for everything that Jesus, Yeshua, talked about. He talked mostly from Deuteronomy, Isaiah, and Psalms. Those are just three largest books that he quoted from. So I'm going to quote from Deuteronomy, even though it's a non-inspired version. We're going to go with it, chapter 26. When you have entered the land the Lord your God is giving you, and taken inheritance and taken possession of it and settled in it, take some of the first fruits of all that you produce from their soil, that the land the Lord your God is giving you, and put them in a basket. Then go to the place the Lord your God will choose as dwelling for his name, and say to the priest in the office at the time, I declare today to the Lord your God that I have come to the land the Lord swore to our forefathers to give us. The priest will take the basket from your hands and set it down in front of the altar. Then you shall declare before the Lord your God, my father was wandering, Aramaean, and he went down from Egypt with a few people and lived there, became a great nation, powerful and numerous. But the Egyptians mistreated us and made us to suffer, putting us to hard labor. Then we cried out to the Lord, the God of our forefathers, and the Lord heard our voice, saw our misery, toil, and oppression. So the Lord brought us out of Egypt with a mighty hand and an outstretched arm, and great terror with miraculous signs and wonders. He brought us to this land and gave us this land, a land flowing with milk and honey. And now I bring the first fruits of the soil that you, O Lord, have given me. Place the basket before the Lord your God and bow down before him. And you and the Levites and the aliens among you will rejoice in all the good things the Lord your God has given you and the household. When you have finished, set aside a tenth of all your produce in the third year, the year of your tithe. You shall give it to the Levite, the alien, the fatherless, and the widow, that they may eat in your towns and be satisfied. In your towns, basically because he gave you these towns. These weren't our towns, they were given to us by him. So wherever you find yourself in your land, you know that you were brought there by providence of him who gave them to you. And so what should you do? You should take to the fatherless, the widow, the orphan, the one who is an alien among you, a stranger in your midst, and the Levite, the people who serve, and give it to them. So I found myself aligned with a man called YASHA'UA, and he's a pretty cool guy. I like him a lot. And his goal is to take care of the widows and the orphans. That's what James, in the book of James, says. What is good religion? That you defile not yourself and you take care of the widows and the orphans. So Noel is helping us not defile ourselves. If you go to his website, theunexpectedcosmology.com, you can find a lot of resources there to help us not defile ourselves. Secondarily, he is helping the widows. Now, that's not the end of the list. The orphans are next. But right now, we're taking care of 2 widows. We're helping those 2 people, as well as him, the minister, as in this case, the Levite. Since we don't have a temple anymore, we have to do what we can to follow Torah as best as we can. So we're taking care of Noel and his family. We're taking care of the widows. And so at theunexpectedcosmology.com, you can find a link, and you can go there, and I'm going to put the link in the description below, to donate to the widows that we're helping. So this month and through the rest of the year, we need your help. We need you to practice what Torah preaches, what Deuteronomy chapter 26, verses 1 through 12 talk about. My name is Paleo, and I love people. And this is just another step in me loving people. I'm loving you, I'm giving you the opportunity to obey. I'm loving Noel, and I'm loving the people that he helps. So if you want to go ahead and hop over there right now, otherwise I'm just going to hang out here by myself, and I think I might clean a little bit. It's Saturday night. I worship. My Sabbath, my Shabbat is from Friday sunset to Saturday sunset. So I'm going to get it ready for the people who come in here who don't know the Torah fully and think that Sunday is the Sabbath. That's okay. I'm going to love them. I'm going to maybe dust a little bit. There's some spiders I got to get rid of. Anyway, you guys are blessed. Be blessed and not stressed. Bye-bye.